Hello, and welcome to the Batteries Included podcast. It's Friday, June the 19th, 2026, and this is episode 144. On today's show, we'll be talking about Porsche Taycan getting some new updates for 2027, the reveal of the new M concept, and the leak of Slate Truck's official price. And of course, much, much more. I'm your host, Tom Moloughney. Joining us today is the incandescent Mr. Tom Moloughney, head of YouTube's channel State of Charge and the premier EV charging news site, evchargingstations.com. Kyle Connor will be with us shortly or sometime in the near future from the majestic, practically palatial halls of Out of Spec Studios. But Scott joins us also from the Out of Spec team, live from the Out of Spec Ranch, where I believe you run the Out of Spec Ranch channel as well. So welcome, Scott. This is your first time on the Batteries Included podcast?
This is my first time on the Batteries Included podcast, but I've been around while you've recorded many episodes.
I think we've seen you pass by the background of when Kyle was talking once or twice too, but
yes.
Your first time in the seat chatting with us. Welcome, Scott. Great to have you.
Thank you. I'm excited.
And of course, we've had the pleasure of meeting you in person before. So it's great to see you again. It's been a while.
The Batteries Included podcast is sponsored by evchargingstations.com. If you drive an electric vehicle or you're planning to, this site is packed with comprehensive charger reviews, detailed DC fast charging graphs, and the latest news from all of the fast charging networks. You'll find real-world testing, easy-to-understand comparison, and deep dives into how different electric vehicles actually charge. Before you buy an EV charger or plan your next road trip, make sure to bookmark evchargingstations.com and make smarter charging decisions.
While we have you on, let's start with you. Exactly. What have you been driving lately?
Yeah, I have been driving a lot of cars lately. We've had quite a few different cars and car accessories on test. So we've had and you guys have to correct me if I'm wrong on this, but it's the base Cybertruck, which I think is all-wheel drive, or is it rear-wheel? It's all-wheel drive.
I think the base might be rear-wheel drive. I'll take a quick look at the Tesla website while we talk about it.
Yeah, I think you got the one that they recently lowered the price for. No, or is it yeah?
Yes, I have the one. I believe it starts at 70,000. And I've been driving that. I am a certified Cybertruck hater. I hate absolutely everything about the Cybertruck experience, and I am the only one on our team that feels that way. And I can dive into why here in a minute. We've also had a Hyundai Ioniq 9. And I drove that for about a week. It's a Hyundai. It was pretty boring.
Really?
Nothing super notable, but I see why people buy them. It's a good price point, but very basic in my opinion. And then the thing that I've been the most excited, I haven't technically been driving this because you can't drive it, but we have the Pebble RV on test, and that
true.
It should be in a league of its own. It has been so amazing to enjoy that product. And we still have it on test. I'm hoping we can just keep it.
Yeah, that'd be pretty wild. I mean, it's like a tester unit though. If they sell you that, what are they going to?
Right, they'll have to build another test unit, I guess.
I guess. So I mean, well, hopefully they're all set up to build more of these. I mean, that's kind of like the business, right? Build Pebbles.
Yeah.
Build Pebbles.
Well, the business wasn't to build a tester and that's it, Tom.
So let's just go back to the Cybertruck real quick. So I pulled up to see dual wheel motor, all-wheel drive. Yeah, they're all I only see all-wheel drive motors on the.
They dropped the rear wheel drive one because nobody wanted it.
Okay.
And I think this one starts at 70,000.
It does.
Mm-hmm.
It does. So what? I mean, what kind of conditions have you been driving it in? Just like on the roads, off road, around?
So I've been driving it at our track at North Carolina. Our track here in North Carolina. I've been driving it from the farm to the track. It's about an hour and a half drive. everything I hate about the Cybertruck. And it's actually not just the polarizing how it looks. I'm actually getting completely used to seeing them on the road, and I'm not as offended by the exterior at all. I do not like the steer by wire. I cannot get used to it. I have tried. I've now driven it, I don't know, maybe like 100 miles or something. And I cannot get used to it. I do like that it has FSD. So that I don't have to drive it because I just don't enjoy it. And yeah, it's hard to park. It's not really a useful truck, in my opinion. And I think a lot of people will get heated for me saying that. But like, it's because of the weird sloped design, it's hard for me to put several bales of hay in it. So for me, that's like not as useful as the Rivian. I could stack about 20 bales of horse hay in an R1T or a Lightning or a Silverado EV or a Sierra, like all of those electric trucks. And with the Cyber, I can probably only fit about 8 bales of hay, and that my horses go through that in 4 days. So not
utility, not great.
Yeah, and I concur with that, Scott. You know, I have the Lightning, and I previously owned a Rivian R1T. I had a deposit on a Cybertruck, but after getting one a couple of times on loan, I decided to cancel my reservation. I don't have the same opinion with you as far as driving. I got used to the steer-by-wire driving. The four-wheel steering I thought was really an improvement over the R1T and the Lightning, but the utility end of it. And I know, as you said before, I'll catch hell from the Cybertruck faithful, but nowhere near as utilitarian as my Lightning is. And the frunk alone was almost like a no-brainer. I mean, I don't even think you could fit a set of golf clubs in the front of the Cybertruck. And
no, you can't.
The Lightning, I put everything up there, everything that I need to be securely stored. And of course, yes, you can put it in the back of the Cybertruck, but then, you know, it slides around. Of course, yes, you can secure it, but it's just so easy to pop that frunk, throw whatever I have in there, my tools, anything I don't want, you know, broken into the vehicle and stolen, and just close it and it's done. And, you know, the everything about it just works better for me. Not saying the Cybertruck can't work fine as a work truck for somebody else, but it doesn't work for you on the farm. It works for other people. I've seen people talk about it, say, oh yeah, I run my whatever boat business with it and so forth. But it definitely comes up short in some categories. So you're not the only one that doesn't think that the Cybertruck is the be all end all of trucks.
It's just not a great truck. When you have a truck, you want to do truck things. And it just doesn't work for my use case. So I also really don't like that when the tonneau cover is on, there's no rear glass. That bothers me a lot. True. It drives me nuts. So
oh, really? It has a camera mirror though.
It does have.
It has a camera mirror though.
I think this is a Scott thing, but I really struggle with the depth perception with a
camera.
Do I.
You're not the only one, Scott. I can't stand them. Maybe if I forced myself to use them all the time, I would. But I find myself whenever I'm in a vehicle that has the camera, I flip it onto mirror. And the fact that they can't see out of the back of the Cybertruck is, in my opinion, absolutely a negative. Also,
it's disorienting for sure.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, for me, I'm used to using the side view mirrors anyway instead of the rear view mirror because I used to drive a van or big trucks, whatever, and there is no rear view mirror, right? You're just constantly using side view. So yeah, there's that. But the rear view mirror wise, the Cybertruck isn't the only offender. I believe one of the Polestars.
I didn't like driving that Polestar that I couldn't do.
Oh, really? Right.
Yeah, that was my first complaint. So.
Right.
Preference.
So what is it? What is it about the not the FST, but the steer-by-wire that you don't? Is it just that you can't put big inputs into it, or it's just that it's a lag there?
I think I'm a little bit of a balls to the walls person in general, and I put every input I put is too much. Okay. And I just, I watched the people in the car with me and they're like getting jostled around because I'm so aggressive. And I even tried to consciously like just use two fingers, and I was like, okay, small inputs. And then it was just jerky. I never smoothed it out. It was just really, really disorienting.
I see. Yeah. So maybe you just need more time with it, possibly, or I don't know.
Well, maybe
I personally,
not every car is for everybody.
True.
I don't like it.
Yeah. So no on the Cybertruck, which
Yes.
I'm kind of on your side with that. I not a whole lot of love for it. Never really got over the looks. Really, I mean, I didn't think it was like the worst thing ever, but it's.
I
don't know,
actually
there's
think
not
they
enough
look kind of cool from the outside. Yeah,
Okay.
I like them when they're like rusted out. I think that's cool and different. And if you want to be that polarizing on the road, be my guest.
Right. Yeah. It just didn't win me over the exterior styling and the interior. I didn't. It didn't really do anything for me. It was like
I will say with
dark
this base one, it's got that cloth interior. It's very easy to clean because I had a little spill in it. And it hasn't held any scent so far. Obviously, this is a pretty new test unit that we have. But I was impressed with the performance of the cloth.
Okay. That's cool. All right. So no on the Cybertruck. Not really a big fan of the Hyundai Ioniq 9.
Yeah, it just feels cheap. Maybe I'm a little spoiled. We have a lot of really, really nice cars in our fleet.
Right.
Yes, it's a great 3-row SUV. It's got tons of space. Kyle tried to get me to compare it to my Rivian R1S, and they're just not really comparable in my mind. But I like the low entry point. The seats were relatively comfortable. I think the buttons and everything and the software was a little bit much. It seemed busy to me.
Yeah.
It's a car. It drives fine. The sound system is
Right.
fine. It charges fine. It's just nothing special.
You're into that you're into that Rivian R1S life, though, right? So
I am.
guess
I'm a
it's
little
bit of a step.
fancy. I'm a little fancy there.
All right. So funny, the Pebble RV. Yeah. So we've talked to Kyle about this a couple times, just briefly, but he seemed to really love it. What is it about the RV that you like so much?
Yeah. I think I need to take a step back because we had the Lightship RV for a period of time. We had it for about 7 days, and that's a comparable, it's a competitor. And that experience was so poor for so many reasons. I'm not really going to harp on it, but the quality control, it felt as though nobody had ever camped in it and actually fixed all the little things. And everything about the Lightship that bothered me, Pebble has fixed. So the door, you can lightly shut it and it completely locks. There's no air in between the seal. Okay, that's like a basic thing, right? You would think when you shut a door, there's no air that comes in. Speaking of air, the HVAC system in the Pebble is amazing. We have been running it full blast on 100-degree, humid North Carolina days, and it stays like an ice box.
Sweet.
The water pressure in the bathroom is amazing. The kitchen space is wonderful. I've cooked in there a couple of times. The Murphy bed is pretty easy to get down and put back up. Even if you've got dogs and other people in there, I was able to just kind of throw it up easily. Software works all of the time, 100% of the time. Again, very basic. It just feels like a really well thought out product that has been tested time and time again. And, it's been so reliable. I think we've had it almost 3 weeks now. And
yeah. Right. Oh.
we haven't had an issue with it.
Nice. Do you think, Scott, that it could have, part of the reason could have been, and I'm just throwing something out, that you got the Lightship, like they gave it to you too soon? Like it wasn't fully baked yet, but they were so anxious to get, out of spec to try it out that they're like, here, and maybe The Pebble, they're like, we're not giving this out to media until it's solid. That could that be the thing?
I love that question. Yes, I think Lightship was too eager to send the unit out because I was on the back end and I kind of know the whole story of what happened. They really pushed to send it to us. I can say that. Pebble has also been pushing to send us a unit for the better part of 8 or 9 months. And it just wasn't working out because we had our move to North Carolina. And then after the Lightship experience, I was like, are we going to get, is this just the standard for RVs? Because I've had other RVs, I had an Airstream, that it's just not a great product. You have this home on wheels that's kind of constantly breaking. And so I didn't expect much, but to answer your question, yes, I think Lightship sent the unit out too early, but I think Pebble probably didn't send out their unit until they had camped in it many, many, many times. So yeah.
It would be interesting if you guys ever re-engage with Lightship, like down the road, and we're like, and they're like, okay, we address some of the things you talked about, just to do a comparison. That would be probably cool if at some point you guys could arrange that, because I'd be interested in finding out if they made progress, or if that was it. Like, if that was as good as it was getting, that would be interesting, because it's always hard. I'm sorry to cut you off, but
no, it's okay.
Kyle and I, have over the years, we've driven many pre-production vehicles, cars, and I try to reflect that when I talk about the vehicle and review it, that I know this isn't fully baked. But at the same time, if the company's giving it to you to look at and review, there's a level of expectation on it being ready to review. But I know a lot of the companies are just, especially startups like this, they're so anxious to get it in the hands of a large media outlet that can, put a lot of light on what they're doing, that, I think sometimes they make bad decisions, and give you something that's not ready. If they were going to give you something that maybe wasn't ready, they should fully explain all the stuff ahead of time. Be like, look, the water pressure isn't great. We're putting in a stronger pump. The door seals, these aren't our production door seals, but I don't think they did that with you. I kind of think they gave it to you as if, oh, here it is. So,
yes.
Yeah.
We are always willing to work with companies and learn and do reviews or test pre-production things, like you said, you and Kyle have for many years. If that had been the case with Lightship and they said, hey, this is not customer representative, but it's close, and this is the laundry list of things that we're still working on, I would feel completely differently. I've worked at several startups, so I know what it's like to get a product up and off the ground and the process prior to giving it to customers. But when we take a unit, like the Pebble, for example, we say, please give us a customer representative unit. And I make that very clear because I'm the one who does all the scheduling and arranging for these cars and RVs. So I make that incredibly clear. And I say, if it's not customer representative, we either don't want to have it right now, or, we're going to handle it as if it's a pre-production unit. So yeah. Oh my goodness. Who is that? It's Kyle. Are you joining?
Yeah.
Okay.
I felt like an animal walked in. It sounded like hoofs were coming.
No,
oh my goodness! I thought a horse was going to walk behind you or something.
No, I would not be that calm. I have this room on lock. So, good morning.
Morning.
Welcome to Batteries Included podcast.
Thank you. Good to see you guys.
This is Kyle Connor.
Hey, Kyle Connor, how you doing?
Scott's sidekick.
Yes.
All right.
He's my employee.
So just in time to talk about the Porsche Taycan. So the Porsche Taycan we all know and love is getting some new features and other changes for 2027. So really quickly, what's new? They have a simulated gear shifting controlled by the paddle shifters, simulates an 8-speed gearbox, virtual rev limiter, and gear-specific drag torque when changing gears. That sounds pretty interesting. Pairs with Porsche's updated Porsche Electric Sport Sound feature, which adapts to the accelerator and brake pedals, changing the audio inside and outside the car in real time. It's got a larger battery pack with the base car. So every Taycan now comes equipped with the previously optional Performance Battery Plus. Used to cost $5,780, and it offers 97 kilowatt hours of usable capacity. That's up from the 83.7. That's pretty good. So the car overall has a higher price. So pricing for the Taycan now starts at $114,250. That's up from $108,050 for the 2026 model. So that's $6,200 more, which is, a bit more than the price of that new battery, but $500. But you get all these other things as well. Native NACS now on the passenger side charging port has NACS. Well, the driver's side still has the AC J1772 port. Let's see what else. Smartphone charging is a lot faster, 1.5 times faster than before, 25 watts. And it now supports the magnetic ring technology. There's new infotainment software with AI voice control and intelligent navigation. And they're also offering a Manti kit with aerodynamic chassis and powertrain modifications available directly from the factory for the first time. So a Manti kit is just something that's, they add, it's like just one of these aftermarket, well, not really, because it's kind of not so aftermarket, because it's almost like it's part of Porsche. I think it's a standalone company, but they work with Porsche. And so if you can see like this wheel on the screen, make sure I'm sharing it properly. Yeah, this is part of the Manti kit. So you can see there's little things like fins on top of the fender well, as well as fender, what you call
Flares.
Not extrusions. Sorry. What are they called, Scott or Kyle?
So the Manti kit comes with a bunch of stuff, but I'm not sure which component you're specifically asking about.
Right, I'm just talking about just the wheel. The word is slipping my mind is all. But
The wheel arch,
The fender flare.
flare.
It's fender flare. That's what it is. Yeah. Then also, some other body panels on the outside, and it comes with I think 20 more. Let me just pull this thing up. Yeah, so you got the aerodynamic upgrade. So you have a big rear wing on the back with enlarged end plates. That's got an optimized front diffuser, high performance rear diffuser with extended fins, lightweight wheels and track tires, 20 kilowatts more power, and so you can get up to 730 kilowatts in attack mode, which from higher. This is the spec, I believe, that set the Nürburgring record recently. I think it was just like 6 minutes and 55 seconds, something like that.
So is that the production electric car record?
Yes. Yep, it's faster than the Rimac Navara, faster than the Yangwang.
I have to.
Special GT version. I forget exactly what it's called, but yeah, it's pretty much the fastest road legal EV, basically, on the Nürburgring at least. So a bunch of stuff. I don't know. Is this going to change a whole lot of things for Porsche? Do you think, Kyle? I mean, their sales numbers have been going down. I mean, they sold as many as like 40,000 one year, right? But it's been going down. They did like 16 last year, and that's worldwide. In the States, they do like 4,000-ish, I guess.
This will make no difference to anyone. They can the only reason I suspect they did this is just so that they could have the records against other automakers, so that the Xiaomi isn't faster or that the Mercedes GT 4-door thing isn't faster. Porsche people are not into Taycans, especially not performance Taycans. And if you look at the number of Turbo GT Weissachs, those owners that need an MR kit or the Manti Racing kit, it's like less than one person. So it's cool, but it's purely just for the lap time to call it a production car so that they can hold the record is my guess.
Well,
And that's
So
important
there's
for
something-
companies to, like that's bragging rights, to say we have the record at Nuremberg. So I understand why they would invest the money into it.
Sure, it is kind of a big deal. So you mentioned something else that's happening with the 2027 model year for Porsche Taycan that I didn't even notice, and and you just told me just before we went on air. And so I just went over to the Porsche website to check it out, and that's what you get when you try to look at the Porsche Taycan Cross Turismo. There is not one. It's like Dunzo. So it looks like they're ending the Cross Turismo and the Sport Turismo, the street version of it, right?
Go ahead, Scott.
The cool ones, the ones that I wanted.
Right? The ones that everyone
wagons.
wants.
And we
I don't
think
know
that's
how they
what-
sold.
We think that's for all markets, right? Not just in the US.
I think
From
so,
what we've
yeah.
gathered.
The thing is, like, I also preferred them. Like I said, if I was going to buy one, this is what I would get. It's so much more utility, but you still get that whole Taycan driving experience and feeling. But then when I look on the road, I almost never see them ever. And I see quite a bit of Taycans around here. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's got to be 20-1. So, I mean, I don't know what Porsche sold as far as percentage wise, but I'm guessing it was the Sport Turismo and particularly the Cross Turismo. The two of them represented a tremendously small percentage, I think, of overall Taycans. I could be wrong. Maybe it's just something here in the Northeast that people aren't buying them here. But Kyle, what do you think about that? I don't think they sold many of that version.
Yeah, it just depends. In Colorado, there were a ton, of course. Cross Turismos were pretty common to see. I always get confused when automakers are like, okay, people aren't buying the wagons, but they're also not giving the dealerships allocations to spec the wagons for people to buy. So I always wonder if that's kind of a lazy excuse, or if they, a lot of times what happens in the Porsche world, this is very common with like Cayennes and Macans, where dealers will spec, especially electric cars, in a very safe spec. So you get like a gray, you put premium pack on there, you don't put much else, and they all kind of end up looking the same in inventory across the country. And a lot of people that want to go enthusiasts for a Taycan wagon really want to custom spec it, want to make it their own, do something really cool, do something exciting. And the dealers just don't stock exciting cars. And I wonder if that problem of the unexciting cars with this being an enthusiast choice led to its downfall. It's kind of sad. In Europe, they're very common. I saw Cross Turismo, Sport Turismos everywhere. So, my anecdotal is just one data point across, their actual numbers. But I wonder how much of it is Porsche doing it to themselves versus customers not actually buying those models.
Well, I had a bunch of friends that were interested in the Taycan, but they didn't know that it came in a wagon at all. They had no clue. And then I'd tell them and they were like, really?
Yeah.
So,
and, even from their marketing and press stuff, like the sedan was faster and went farther. So anytime they were doing something interesting with the Taycan, it was always the sedan version that was on display. So with the Cross Turismo and the Sport Turismo, incredible cars, but it's that 1% slower around a track. It never got its chance to shine in all of the marketing stuff. And I'll be really curious to see what this does to the used values. The car to have in the future is going to be a J12 Taycan, which is the big boy, crazy charging, 320 kilowatt, great cooling, the newest generation. GTS Sport Turismo, not in red, because 90% of them are in carmine red. And that'll be the car to have in the future, because there's going to be, 1 or 2 model years of that. It's going to be super enthusiasty, and if you find one of those, that seems like a buy and hold.
So it looks like this is a U.S. thing only, actually.
That's good.
Oh, okay.
So at least in Europe, y'all can keep your wagons.
That's right. Yeah, and wagons are traditionally, a lot more popular in Europe than they are here in the U.S.
They're just cooler and better.
Yeah.
I'll give you one other piece of anecdotal information. I was just at a Porsche program with my buddy Timon for the last couple days. It was like a driving experience thing in Alabama at Barber. And 70% of the class drove Porsches. Not a single one drove an electric Porsche. Not a single one had any interest in driving an electric Porsche. Did not care. The instructors hated the electric Porsches.
Why?
They were like, look, they had Taycans on their program. They said they just sat. No one ever wanted to drive them. They would have to like force their guests to try the Taycan, and people were like, nah, I came here to drive 911s. And people just were not interested at all. So there is a disconnect between like Porsche electric people and Porsche combustion people. And it's sort of the same brand values, but completely different customers.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's understandable, especially at the driving school, where part of the whole experience, Kyle, and you know this as well as anybody, is being physically connected to the car, is changing gears, is listening, matching revs, really involved in the driving and getting that audible feedback. Whereas, as great of a driving experience as electric vehicles are on a track, they might be able to perform as well, but there is something missing with the overall experience versus a combustion vehicle. Even the EV purists have to admit that it's a different experience, and perhaps a better experience when you get that audible feedback, and it's not that linear power curve of the electric, and just the motor whine. So that's understandable.
There's something way more fun about driving an imperfect machine. Although I will say a lot of the modern stuff that were part of this driving experience were the new hybrid 911s. They use like a Rimats situation, and it's really cool. They're turning into vacuum cleaners. Those cars are getting so fast, so quiet. Yeah. The instructors literally said just keep them in drive the whole time, so you're not actually shifting. Yeah. Timon ignored all of them and had fun. But, it's not like the combustion experience is all that different. Now that the Taycan has the shifting thing, I think it will work for some customers. It's pretty stupid. I always liked that Porsche never did that because, Porsche is about pure performance, in my opinion, and simulating a combustion engine is just taking the benefits of an electric car away. Yeah. But it will cure your boredom in traffic, which is where I use it in the 5N.
And that's honestly, that's the only vehicle that I've experienced so far. I obviously haven't experienced a new Porsche, and I have to imagine that they're going to implement this well. But the 5N is the only vehicle that I've driven that really had like simulated sound and simulated gear shifting that actually works. And I remember when I got it on loan, I was wholeheartedly thinking, I'm not going to enjoy this, but like it was a hoot. And I was playing with it the whole time. Meredith wouldn't even go out driving with me anymore because every time I got behind the wheel, I was driving it like I was racing someone. It made me want to drive it that way, so it actually works. So hopefully Porsche implements, it well, and, you get the same kind of experience that you want to drive it like it's a combustion vehicle.
The other thing I wanted to mention is the new software for Taycan, which is really important for our audience and the EV customer. So it seems like a refreshed version of the user interface, more powerful chipsets, which is really needed because that's always been a Taycan pain point. Is PCM is fine, but that screen layout, everything, that isn't really changing much here, but they are utilizing the lower display more. And yeah, but it's still like, okay, now a base Taycan used to cost $70-something thousand. Now it costs $114 base. Yeah. Then no wagons, so that's lame. By the time you spec a good one, you're $150 to $180 for like a middle of the road spec. It's so expensive. And like the performance compared to a Model 3 performance and the software experience is pretty far back. Now, a Porsche is different, right? But I use my mom as an example now, where she stepped up and spent the money to get into a new Porsche electric, and it ended up being a pretty painful experience for her from a software perspective. It seems like the Cayenne will fix that, because the Cayenne seems to have pretty good software, nice screens, it's actually probably more confusing than a Rivian or a Tesla or something like that. But it's cool and it's pretty powerful. Hopefully the Taycan's in that same realm, because that's always been it's an amazing driving car, blah, 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 but the software. And now if they can overcome the shifting thing and overcome the software thing, Taycan might actually see a little resurgence. But I really think the biggest problem here, and Dominic, I know you want to chat as well, the biggest problem with the Taycan is when you buy one, you will lose 70% of your value in the first couple of years. Like, that is why people aren't buying them. It's not because it's a bad car. It's not, if you could buy a Taycan and it would hold its value or even gain value like a 911 does in some cases, people would be buying them. But it's the fact that you're just losing your shirt on it every time you buy a new one that scares people away. Dominic, go ahead.
No, that's I'm not sure what I was actually going to say, except that just to backtrack just for a second, the gear shifting thing. I was just very taken by the fact that besides the virtual rev limiter, they have gear specific drag torque when changing gears. So I'm trying to imagine, how that feels like. I mean, I love driving the manual.
Well, it would feel just like the 5N.
Yeah, I haven't driven the 5N. So
okay, so it just does a little power cut on the gear shift.
Oh,
yeah. So it's slower.
Okay, well, I took it as slightly something. I thought of it was more like engine braking. You have different amounts of engine braking depending on what gear you're upshifting to, basically, right? Like
I'm sure it will simulate that, but what does the exact terminology say?
Gear-specific drag torque when changing gears.
Yeah, so my guess is the drag torque would mean it does a little power dip in between them. Or, it's going to have to simulate a combustion engine. So it will simulate a power curve of a combustion engine where down low it probably won't be much. You'll have to rev it out, or so. It'll probably hit a rev limiter and stop accelerating like the Hyundais do. And yes, it's very possible that when the revs are higher, you'll get more regen than when the revs are lower.
Right. But to your point about depreciation, that's really one of the biggest complaints I'm in a Taycan group on Facebook or something, and that's one of the biggest complaints I think I see on a regular basis. People complaining they lost so much money in, which I get it. That's a lot. It's a lot of money, especially a lot of the expensive EVs. Big depreciation now. I think that's going to lessen over the years, over time. But it's as things have been improving so quickly, over the last decade or so. Every couple of years, everything's so much better, and so you don't want to pay as it's depreciation. Big depreciation kind of makes sense in that respect, but.
Well, I'm going to take advantage of that. I'm going to take advantage of that. I'm waiting at 27, maybe 28. I'm going to get a J12 3-year-old Taycan. I don't know what spec yet, but I'm going to search, and I've said that many times. I'm buying one of those babies. That's going to be my weekend car.
That'd be fun. All right. So
one last thing on Taycan before we move off. I hate that it has the 2 charging standards. I hate when the manufacturers do this. NACS for DC fast and J1772 on the left side panel for level 2 charging. Why didn't they switch them both over? I'm sure it was a cost issue, could have been a supplier issue, but it just confuses people, especially some people new to electric cars. It's like, the plug should be the plug. We don't need to, this is 2009 Leaf with a Chatamo and a J1772, just make it one. Don't switch over to NACS unless you're ready to switch the whole car over to NACS. That's my 2 cents.
Well, it's actually interesting you bring that up. Sorry, I know you want to move on, Dom. But Kyle and I watched a clip the other day of Snooki from Jersey Shore. She was driving an Escalade IQ, and they got to the house. It was low on charge, and they kept trying to plug it into the NACS plug.
But they were using a DC adapter.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh.
You know, so it really does confuse people. Like, it's
Absolutely,
Right.
it really does. And besides, since you're mentioning that, my second cousin had a Cadillac Escalade, and he had the gas version. And you know the 6.2 liter motors that are all getting recalled, whatever. He blew 2 engines in 1 year, and so the second time went back to the dealership furious. They gave him an Escalade IQ until his vehicle was done. Now his wife has a Model Y. So great, I've got the charger in the garage. Give me the IQ. So he goes online and buys a NACS to CCS1 adapter. And, he calls me up. He's like, what am I doing wrong? He's like, I have the adapter. I'm charging in the garage. And I'm like, just take a picture of the adapter, please. No, first question was, how much did you pay for the adapter? He's like, $180. I'm like, you bought the wrong adapter. He's like, well, no, it said it. I said, take a picture of it. And I looked at it. I'm like, that's the one made by this. I'm like, dude, why didn't you call me first? He goes, I thought I could handle this one little thing on my own that I didn't need to ask you for help with. And that's when I made the video months back about, you're doing it wrong. NACS adapters, you're doing it wrong, to kind of explain to people there's AC and there's DC adapters. So, it's confusing, and it makes people not want to get involved with this. We need to make this we need to rip the Band-Aid off and just make this transition as quickly as possible, so people just know, okay, this is what we use. You know what I mean? We don't
shouldn't need to launch your videos.
We don't, but I mean, I know we're going to talk about the Jeep Recon. The freaking thing's a new vehicle. It's launching now with CCS and J1772. It's halfway through 26. That's not supposed to happen. So,
There's also Stellantis, so no surprise.
I know, but they're shooting themselves in the foot. I can't believe they're doing this now in 2026. And
question on the Taycan. Is it really NACS as DC only, or is NACS both, and they just left J1772?
It's Jackson on one side, NACS on one side, J1772 on the
I
other side.
thought it was DC only.
What I read was that it was DC only, but let me quote
Yeah,
that.
I don't want to say 100%. That's what I believed it was.
I would be okay if NACS could handle both, and the J plug was just for AC. That way, you have your existing customers.
I get it. I think you're okay with that, but I don't think that was the case. I thought it was DC only.
Yeah, I remember.
I could be wrong. I could be wrong.
A few years ago about this, and that's how they were going to do it. And I'm like, well, you can't do that. And they ended up doing it maybe this way. But they said they couldn't get the AC to DC, because NACS uses the same lines for AC and DC, you need a switcher box. And they were like, we can't fit that anywhere in the Taycan. Then I said to him, you have the exact same footprint of a Lucid Air with 1% of the interior space. I'm sure you can figure out where to fit that thing somewhere. Apparently, maybe not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the BMW M concept Neue Klasse. It's just debuted. Actually, debuted on Friday after our show aired. But it's it's just like you said, it's the BMW M concept new class. So it is a concept, but I think this is pretty close to what the production vehicle will look like. I imagine the production vehicle will have door handles. Right now, if you're looking at it on your screen, you can see the little video there. Just pulling the.
It had door handles. It has them up top. They're little winglets, like the new X5.
Oh, true. Now that you mentioned that, I remember seeing that on another clip. They do have. Okay, so yeah, maybe it's just the interior because the interior is kind of hardcore, right?
I have not seen it.
I wouldn't call it hardcore.
Yeah, I think there's even a bar in the back seat. It's got 4 seats. I'm not sure if it has 4 doors. It's been a while since I looked at.
Oh yeah, M3s have 4 doors.
Right, it ought to. Yeah, 4 doors. Yeah, but. Man, so there's not a whole lot of information on this. It's just basically a design reveal. but I believe this is really close to what I think we should expect to see. We'll call it the M3 or possibly the MI3. But I don't know. I kind of love it, except for maybe like the rear diffuser that we're looking at now is a bit much for a road car. But
so that'll be the question: are they going to put I first or M first? Will it be the IM3 or the MI3? I think IM3 is easier to say.
And people will understand that better.
I think they'll have to go I think they should just say M3.
Oh, yeah, they might just call it the M3 electric. I mean, but I think they call it the iX3. So I think they should call it the IM3 if they're going to call it anything.
Right. But I mean, a lot of people really love the way this looks. Before we get on to the looks, the one other technical thing that we know about it is that it will have 4 electric motors, so one motor for each wheel. Probably put out over 1,000 horsepower. And I'm not sure if there's really anything else. You drove Kyle, you drove a engineering version of this car at one point?
Rode in one, yeah. It was like a technical demonstration of everything Neue Klasse could do.
Right. So, and this is built on the Neue Klasse platform, the what they call N-Car, I think they call it internally. But it's got it's got all the Neue Klasse, the batteries, what they call the Gen 6 batteries like the i3 and the iX3. It's got all that stuff. But I don't know, what's different in this car besides like the 4 wheel motors? More power.
Well, this is going to be a full M. It's going to be a full M car. So expect, and I don't know what my embargo is on anything that I should or shouldn't talk about, but expect a battery chemistry change. Expect I think that's announced now. It will use the same form factor cell with a more power dense cell, so less energy than the i3, but more power, more thermal endurance, less resistance in the cells. It's going to be able to handle track work without overheating. Four motors. It's really down to how they tune it, because even in the demo vehicle that I drove, I really thought they could have improved. There were some wheel flares and other stuff happening with that. It's really hard to tune a multi-motor system correctly, and almost no one has done it properly. Even the Sapphire, I had some wheel flares that we had to get into check. And so it's not, when you have multiple motors, it's really hard to make it drive appropriately, in my opinion. And I've never been pleased with any of them. And I own multiple cars with multiple motors on the rear axle. They all drive me nuts in one way or another. The car really is going to be a showcase for BMW saying, here's what we can do for electric performance. It should be priced relatively similar to M3s. The design looks really good. There still will be a combustion M3 is my guess coming following this, which is really going to be what the enthusiasts will buy. But I'm really excited about this car. I've owned M3s in the past. I love M cars. And so you take, some of the amazing basis of engineering, the core of Neue Klasse that we all experienced in iX3, put it in a sedan, dial it up to 11, put all the crazy tech BMW obsesses over from a chassis and powertrain performance standpoint. And we might have found ourselves, it's going to be more than a Model 3 performance, but it's going to be a lot more car as well. And it might be like Taycan go home type situation.
I tell you, this I can't help but think back to, I don't know if it was 2013, 2014, but I was at one of the big trade shows. I don't know if it was in Frankfurt or Geneva or somewhere. And I was actually with like a guest of the BMW brand. So I was in their private room in the back, Kyle, where they have like little sections where only the executives can go and to like rest. And I was talking to BMW's, the M division's boss at the time. I think it was Van Meel. I forget who was at that time, but we talked about i3 wasn't even out yet, and talked about M. And I was like, when are we going to see, are we going to see a BMW i3 M? And he just looked at me almost with like disgust and said, absolutely not. And I was like, well, are you going to make like a dedicated M car? And he said, BMW will never make an electric M car, true M car. He said that conflicts. He said electric drive can't be an M division. And he went on with this rant telling me why. He's like, the two will never converge. He said, we will have BMW I and we will have combustion BMW. The two will never converge, like angrily at me. And I was like, okay. I'm like, never? Never's a long time. Never. Like that was the attitude 13 years ago. You know what I mean? That you could never have a true M vehicle be electric. But times have changed.
It's like an electric Ferrari. Never going to happen until it does.
Yeah.
Right?
That's bad.
Well, that should not have happened.
That should not have happened at all.
Hopefully this is a better representation for the electric vehicle community than the Ferrari. But, as nobody's driven it yet and all that stuff, let's let people drive it. I know it doesn't look great, but
the Luce, yeah. But this looks great. Do you like this, Tom?
Oh yeah. I absolutely love it. Look, I think it looks awesome.
You know who had a bad reaction to it the first time she saw it?
Who?
Okay. From the side, it looks like a Scion. It's ugly. From the side, it has the same like round boxy.
I could see that, the little Scion coupe thing in the back. Yeah,
it looks like that from the side.
Somewhere in Germany, there's a designer crying right now.
But everything looks like something at this point.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because we've done everything. Like, it's almost hard to design something that doesn't look like something else out there.
Yes, but let's make it not like boxy it's like the way the back
I actually agree.
box is down. Like from straight on from the back, straight on from the front, it looks sick. Just from the side, it doesn't look
C-pillar back.
Thank you. Yeah, it just doesn't. It's not giving BMW.
Yeah, the whole back of the car I had an issue with on the i3 as well, because I filmed this car a couple times now, and the normal one. I think our video is already live on it. Yeah, so we can talk about it. And I was just like, it all falls apart in the back. The rear actually works for me.
It looks nice. I like the rear and the front, how it scoops in.
Yeah, this is cool. I honestly, this might be my next car. If it really, it totally could be.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I love it. I love the yellow lights in the front there, the shark nose, on the front. The way the way the fenders are pulled, stretched over the wheels a little bit. This is
I mean, of the cars that have come out recently, between is it the Luce?
Luce.
And what was the other one?
The Mercedes.
Yeah.
4-door.
This is definitely the best in
4-door
looks.
coupe.
So.
Right.
I think it looks awesome. I hope they keep it just like that, and I hope they release a touring version so that you can get a wagon electric M3. That would be freaking awesome.
Yes. All right. We need to move along real quick. So last week we talked about the new Ford $30,000 electric pickup truck being spotted in Camel for the first time. And that conversation turned towards Slate Auto because it's also bringing a truck to market in that under 30,000 space. And this week we're going to talk about it a little bit more because ahead of its big production debut coming next week on the 24th, a couple cats have been let out of the bag. So the big one is the price. In preparation for next week, the Slate website updated its FAQ section. And under the question, what is the price of the Slate truck? It was answered with $24,950, excluding tax and title and all those other things. So, so originally Slate said it would be under $20,000 with tax credit, leaving many to believe that the price would actually start at $27,000. So this now leaves a $5,000 gap between the price for this and the Ford pickup. So it's a question, I guess, is it enough of a gap, right? I don't know if you want to chime in real quick with that, Tom.
So the Ford's $30,000 and this is 25.
Yeah, 25, $5,000 difference.
But that we don't know for sure, right?
We don't know for sure. Ford keeps saying $30,000, but we don't, we don't have official. Okay, it's $29,995 or whatever. We don't know for sure.
True.
But if it does, no, it's not a big enough gap. There's no way a $5,000 difference between what the base Slate, which it's called the blank Slate, the $25,000 version, and whatever Ford puts out at 30, if they put it out at 30, there's no way to justify getting this Slate, in my opinion. Even though I still probably will get one, but because Ford will put out a complete truck at $30,000. They won't put out something with crank windows and a bench seat and no radio and, the stuff
So you're
that's
saying it's too much of a risk for there to only be a $5,000 difference.
Yeah, and I think people just, they're going to. I mean, it's Ford, for crying out loud. What are they known for? Building the best trucks there are. So, you're gonna risk your money on Slate. I mean, people will still buy them. Don't get me wrong. People think they're cool and want to customize them. It's not like they're dead. But for the masses, if Ford manages to get that $30,000 truck out around the time that Slate launches, they're just going to overwhelm. They're going to crush Slate.
Yeah,
That's what I think.
I think they need a fleet price. I don't know. They have like 160,000 something or more reservations. Apparently, Slate does, but those are like $50 reservations. And we saw, like in the case of the Cybertruck, those can evaporate. So next week, actually, people can turn their $50 reservation into a pre-order for I think $300. So I think that's really going to winnow the field down a little bit, and we can kind of see what the real numbers look like as far as demand goes, like hard demand. And it should be interesting too to see what changes have been made. Like I assumed that what we saw already was kind of like the production version, but then I'm reading, the production version is what they're going to show. I don't know if there's going to be a whole lot of large differences, but yeah. So the other big thing about Slate this week, we also learned about another change to the original vehicle. So a report in the Detroit Free Press claims the Slate Truck has an LFP battery now. So originally we were told it would have a 52.7 kilowatt hour NMC battery for 150 miles of range, or an 84.3 kilowatt hour battery for 250 miles of range. The writer didn't present this as new information or say anything or say that it's going to be the only option. It's just like, as a matter of fact, whatever, LFP, but it's kind of news to a lot of people. So I guess we'll have those details for sure next week, but I don't know. Is that a surprise to either of you guys?
Well, is it confirmed?
I was going to say, is it true? People write a lot of stuff without fact checking these days.
Right. It was in the Detroit Free Press, and it was framed as what they've learned from the CEO, And
all right, that should be reliable.
Slate was. I assume that they were pretty aware. Slate was aware that this article was put out, and if they put something like that in there that was completely wrong, that they would say something. They would correct it, right? So generally, that's what happens. So I guess we'll see. Maybe it's not be better, but it sure sounds like
would be great. LFP is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, for the cheap version, especially, I think that makes sense. Use the LFP for maybe that's how they're bringing the price down from originally from their $27,000 mark to the $25,000 mark. Maybe that's just savings from going with LFP on the battery. But yeah, so that's all. I think that's it's an interesting truck and everything. So I thought I'd bring that up and mention it.
I guess we'll keep an eye on it this week, right? This week is the official announcement.
Yes.
This week coming, I think it's next Wednesday. So we'll talk about it on the next show, and hopefully people will have leave us your comments down below if you think that whatever you think of the LFP or this price, and if it's really enough.
Yeah. I think our audience, Dom, would be more inclined to take a chance on Slate because it's, the EV nerds, the EV geeks. But the average person that wants an affordable electric pickup truck, I can't see them buying this from this company they've never heard of over if Ford's got one sitting on the lot for a couple grand more, which is like $50 more a month on your payment. Like, should I get the Ford or should I get this company that I think, does Amazon make it or is it just invested? Like, who are these people? And it comes with nothing. You mean I've got to add everything? It doesn't have and nothing is standard, like that's going to freak a lot of people out. I think
put that aside, because people who are spending less money are also concerned about repair costs and things like that. Like you're going to go with the Ford because the Ford dealership's right down the street. Now they don't know that most of these Ford dealerships don't know anything about electric stuff, but still, like there's no way
be there in 8 years.
Right.
Right. It's always a risk buying from a new company that it's their first vehicle. The first few months of production. I'm waiting for. I know Jay Leno drove like a prototype or whatever, but I'm waiting to hear from from Kyle or you or Tom. How it actually is on the road, because I feel like with plastic body panels, there's just there's just like I'm just worried about like boomy sounds on the interior. I just feel like I don't know if it's going to feel like put together like properly.
So if they price it cheap enough, doesn't matter.
Who cares?
But,
right. But I don't think it's priced at $25,000 still. If it was like
still a lot of
$20,000.
Yeah, if it was 19 grand,
care less.
Yeah,
it'd be fine.
Because don't forget, like I said, the 25,000 is the blank slate. Most people are going to add some features to it. Even like that for the 19,000, you don't even get the shelf to put your own supplied like iPad, so you have a display screen. Everything is optional. So it's I think it's going to be hard for you to get one under 30,000 that doesn't even just have the basic amount of amenities that will make your life okay driving it. So, but we'll see.
Right. All right. So we also mentioned Telo Trucks last week. Speaking of small companies with new products, we were wondering last week. We were talking about when we get an update on our progress. Because it's been a while. I feel like, and I haven't heard a lot. But so this week we actually ended up getting 2 updates. So the one is a production update. So in a short video, the CEO Jason Marks, he'll pop up on the screen here in a moment.
Have you ever seen this?
He announced that Schwab Industries has been contracted to build their body in white. So the body in white is like the complete metal structure of the vehicle that everything attaches to, like from the seats to the subframe. But it's a lot of the hard work that you kind of need a lot of experience in specialized machinery to kind of put that all together. And this place out in Michigan has that. Schwab Motors, they do stamping parts, and they supply stamped metal pieces for other companies. Or so their parts are in a lot of vehicles you might see on the road. I think this might be their first contract to do a whole like body in white for somebody. I think they were supposed to do the Atlas from a few years ago, if you remember that electric truck from like 2021 that eventually got canceled, and they pivoted to I think fast charging or something, and that seemed to
they went to Neue. They turned into a company NXU, and then they went out of business.
Right. Which, man, when you see people pivot like that, that's always in my mind the next step, out of business basically. But so that was that. So they have they're moving towards actual production in a small. I mean, they're not very ambitious, like as far as numbers wise. I think they're looking at hundreds or maybe some thousands. I'm not sure. It's not like huge numbers of production, not like Slate. This new Slate factory, I think they have capacity, they say, for 150,000 a year, which is a lot of capacity. So
Telo's going to hand build these, Dom.
Yeah, these are going to be hand built, and they're
it's only a couple hundred this year, I think. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I'm not sure how many they can even put this year. I don't know how many they can put out already in this year, but at least it looks like they're moving forward, and I think that's a good thing. In a separate video, the CTO Forest North announced that the truck will feature an 800-volt battery that uses a split pack approach, so it can charge quickly on 400-volt chargers, like most of the Tesla superchargers out there. He also claimed that it will charge at 400 kilowatts, right? So, and not just briefly, but like sustained. So he didn't give a specific charge time yet, but it sounds like it would be better than like many of the vehicles you can get now from major automakers. So the high energy level, he says, is made possible because, according to him, they've started working with some new cells, and they have 20% more capacity than the ones they were previously working with. But more importantly, they have 1/5 of the internal resistance. So less resistance means less heat, which means higher power levels are possible and shorter charge times. And yeah, also, the only other bit of news from there was a little while back. I didn't see this when it happened, but a couple months ago, they hired a gentleman named Martyn Lee, who spent 16 years at Tesla, mainly as a safety engineer. So it will be his job to make sure the Telo MT1 is up to passing, the crash safety test or whatever. Because people look at the Telo, and one of the first reactions I think people have is like, "Oh, what about in a crash?" Because the front is so short, right? But yeah, so that's everything on the Telo front. I don't know if anyone wants to add anything to that.
Yeah, super cool looking. I mean, I love it, but we're talking about cheap small trucks. That thing starts at 42,000.
That's not cheap.
Well,
It
yeah,
actually starts.
yeah.
It doesn't start yet. It's
Well,
not.
yeah.
Right.
Well, that's their estimated starting MSRP is 42 grand. So,
way.
you're talking about a $50,000 truck once you
I think it's worth
get a
it,
couple
by the
things
way.
onto it.
You like weird.
I
love
think
it.
it's kind of worth that price, though.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
so cool. It does burnouts.
I think it's super cool too. I'm just looking at who are the pool of customers. Are there enough Kyle Connors out there that are going to drop 50 grand down on it when they can almost buy a Slate and a Ford truck and have both those trucks in the driveway for what this costs?
Yeah, there's no way. Also, the company has not done much, I think, to publicly instill confidence that they can meet all the regulations, pass everything. It always, and what I appreciate about them is that it's a small team. They're scrappy. They're very talented engineers. Some of my friends work there, but I don't think they have done enough to be like, hey, we know it's hard to build a car. Here's like the kind of qualifications and the way we can bring this thing through the goalpost. Like, they just found a supplier to manufacture the body in white. Okay, well, that's one out of the next 4 million things you need to do. I don't know. And then talking about the charging without showing it doesn't give me confidence. Anyone can say numbers. I'm sure they've tested it, but you got to show people. You can't just make claims and not back it up. And so that's why I didn't even cover the 400 kilowatt thing, because I want to give them the benefit of the doubt. They seem like great guys. They just need to prove to the people that they can do this.
Right. Yeah, all fair points. So let's leave them there for now, and we'll check in.
But it is a
with them when
super
they have-
cool vehicle. It's a super.
Yeah.
The first time Meredith saw it, I was watching a video and she walked by. She's like, "Oh my God, that's electric!" I said, "Yeah." She goes, "You're going to buy one." And the reason why she said that is because one of my closest friends, Greg, Kyle, you met him. He was in the car with me once when you were doing your Cannonball. He bought like a 1985 Honda Acti and had it imported from Japan and restored it. It's a right-hand drive, and that's his daily driver, and I love it. And I'm always like telling Meredith, like, God, I so want to buy one of these things and just tool around with it. And it looks like it. It has the profile of an Acti, a little short front with a flat bed in the back. So she's like, "That's your electric truck. That's what you should be driving." So, and which, if they ever actually make it and make these things and they're available, I'll definitely consider it, because I would love to daily that thing. Yeah, there you go.
I just thought I'd pull up a picture of a Honda Acti. I love these things so much.
I absolutely love them. It's like his daily driver. He's very handy. He fixes it for brakes. Even the Honda dealerships are like, we can't fix that thing. But it's so cool. It's got the side walls on the bed fold down, so it's actually really a flat bed, and then they fold up. And he tools around. I mean, it only goes about 55 to 60 miles an hour, something like that. Tops out at around 60. But It's his daily driver. He drives the hell out of it, and it's still just tooling along.
Nice. Yeah, I wanted to buy one of these things and convert it to electric myself at some point, but that did not happen. I'm not really handy. Alex should do this. Alex should. You could import some like a K-Bon, like a little minivan or truck, and
Yeah. I wanted to do that. You know who I actually reached out to? Rich Rebuilds. We had a couple conversations about this about a year and a half ago. I told him, if I get you an Acti, will you convert it? And he was like, yeah, for the right price, I'll do anything. And I'm like, well, we've got to talk about what the right price is, because I mean, I'm not dumping 80 grand into converting onto Acti. And then I just kind of got busy and we never followed up on it. But I actually wanted to do that. You know, maybe I should talk to Alex.
Alex would do it in a heartbeat.
All right, let's talk
What
about
you say?
Yeah.
Alex would do it.
Let's talk about doing this.
What's your problem
Okay.
with Alex?
We could both get
everything.
Alex
we could
wants
both
to
get
convert
content
everything.
out of this, and it would be super fun.
Yeah,
So,
well, great.
yeah,
Then
I want
get
to
an
talk
Acti.
to him about this.
We have so many batteries sitting around the track right now, Tom. We could put Tesla modules in
Yeah.
it. We can make EV9 modules.
We have
anything.
I can buy one in decent shape for like $6,000.
There's a guy here at
you can do better
the
than
locally that sells them.
Yeah. All right. We'll
I was gonna say,
we'll
you could
talk about
import
this
one for,
later.
like, a couple. You could probably import one for maybe 20. Well,
No need to
2,500
import them.
now.
No, there's
Right down the
there's a
road.
ton here already, Dom.
Okay.
In North Carolina, everyone has them.
Yeah.
I see them every day. Not Actis, but just K trucks in general.
Yeah. It's a pain,
Right.
Dom,
Yeah,
doing
there's
the
a few-
importing yourself. It's not easy. Greg did it,
Right, yeah.
and he went with a broker, and there was still all kind of
Well, that's
issues. Like it got held up. Was sitting at the port for 2 months. Buy one that's here, and don't deal with all the BS that you got to deal
Sure.
with importing it.
True.
So
Yeah. The
Cool. All right, we'll talk about this.
The Suzuki Carry is also another same kind of idea, right? Same. It's just
Yeah.
looks-
Yeah, there's Daihatsu Mini Jet, Subaru
Yeah.
Sandbar, so many of them.
I love me a sandbar. All right, so 2026 Jeep Recon Moab. So
Anyway.
the Jeep Recon. Sorry,
Anyway,
anyway.
yeah.
Speaking of, the Jeep Recon range and energy consumption numbers have just been listed by the EPA, but unfortunately the results are slightly lower than initially anticipated. So originally Jeep hoped to get 230 miles of range out of this thing. It has a 100.5 kilowatt hour battery, so huge battery inside this thing. Hoped for 230 miles of range. Official rating, 222 miles. Down 8 miles from that estimate, or 3.5%. So, yeah, I'm not sure what else there is to say about that. It's not out yet, right? Do we know when this is? It's supposed to come, yeah, second half of 2026. But I haven't heard anything about this. Maybe, is there anything that you guys can say publicly?
no,
Well, there's just nothing I want to say about
yeah.
it.
Talking about the mileage, the range at least, it's not often that this happens. It does happen on occasion, but typically when manufacturers say, you know, we expect this, they've already done the testing. They've already basically supplied EPA with all of the documents that they have, and it's a fait accompli. That is going to be the range rating. On occasion, it's off. Sometimes it's more even, you know, when they say it's going to have 300 miles, it comes up with 310, but it's not that often that it's lower like this. It does happen on occasion. And, you know, it's unfortunate because, you know, you set a bar, and if anything, you'll like to improve upon that. Say, oh, we thought it was going to have 230, but it actually has 251, you know, oh, great. You know, it's even better.
Right.
But Stellantis went in the opposite direction. They, you know, overpromised and underdelivered. And I mean, think about that. It's got a 100 kilowatt hour battery pack. It's much smaller. Well, not much smaller, but it's smaller, considerably smaller than a Rivian R1S. It weighs a lot less, and it's much less efficient. It's like, what is Stellantis doing? You know, it's less efficient than my Lightning, and the Lightning weighs much more and is 3 feet longer. You know, it's like, and the Lightning was engineered, you know, four and a half years ago, you know, without even a dedicated platform. It's like,
Right.
what's Stellantis doing? So it's
The one good thing about this potentially is it'll be pretty hard to undercut those numbers in the real world. Like, I think you're actually going to get a pretty like expected range out of this thing, and maybe it'll even outperform its EPA numbers.
I don't know. Takes Dom. If you scroll back a little bit, you see that that chart that we have. If you're watching on YouTube, we list. This is from my website. There, yeah, we list the highway range rating and the city range rating. The combined you see is 222. The highway is 196, which is a huge hit, more so than most EVs take on the highway. So I'm thinking, Kyle, like this is definitely going to be under 200 miles on a 70 mile an hour range test. This thing might be like 175, 180 on a highway range test, on a 70 mile an hour range test. So not good.
Crazy.
Not good.
That's crazy. And just to add insult to injury, CCS one charging inlet for AC and DC charging. Simple. But we're still on the old standard. It's not the next standard.
Yeah. I don't
Did
even
you
know.
expect them to do next?
I did, and I'll tell you why. I know Tesla made deals with the manufacturers that new vehicles, like all new vehicles coming out in 2026 or later, had to have NACS. It was part of the deal they made to have access to the supercharger network. So, I'm really surprised, unless somehow Jeep, like circumvented it by saying this isn't a new model. We took an existing model and changed it a little bit, so it's going to have this charge port. But I know
they could, because it's built on Stella Large.
Yep. I have had conversations with other OEMs that have told me this was, a year or two ago when they made the announcement, and I asked them about their timeline, and they basically said, well, we have to, by 2026, all our new vehicles have to have it. Not vehicles that we're continuing to sell from now, but the new introductions have to have it. So, it's a little odd. It's everything about this is just disappointing. It starts at 65, right? You're highlighting that, Tom?
Right.
So
Yes.
67 with the destination charge. I mean, I don't know.
Money for, so you compare it to the R2 right here. At such a price that the Jeep Recon will have a difficult task of beating the Rivian R2, which is around $60,000, right, for the launch edition. But over 300 miles of range, NACS port, and I don't know if it'll have the capability off-road that this does. We'll see, but man, it seems like it's not really a fair fight,
Yeah, it is bigger than R2 though. It's kind of in between R2 and R1S. So
right.
It is a little bit bigger than R2, but still, man, those are disappointing numbers.
Yeah. Let's see what else we have here on this thing. Oh, I just want to mention real quickly, BYD prepares fast charging launch in Canada. So someone spotted on LinkedIn, BYD is they were advertising for a fast charging business development manager. And I think they took that down, and now they have one up that's they're looking for an infrastructure business development manager. I think maybe they gave away too many clues with their first ad or something. They changed that. So congratulations to Canada for getting 5-minute charging before the US. Well, it's not there yet, but I expect it will be before too long. BYD is setting up at least 20 dealerships in Canada. And that will probably drive them a lot of business their way. All right, Tom, do you need to run here real soon?
Yeah, I got a hard stop.
Okay, right now?
Pretty much so.
Okay. Okay. Let's call it a week then. But just real quickly, for State of Tom fans, State of Charge fans, check out his Electron Factory tour, and he's got a charger coming up that he'll review from that you'll see being made on that factory tour. And you have something else coming up. You have a Yarbo lawnmower review coming up soon this week too that people can look out for.
Yeah, I had so much fun with the snowblower. I got the lawnmower attachment, and I've been playing around with that. So I'll have the assembly unboxing and first use video coming up this week for sure.
All right. And for out of specs, your channel, Kyle, so you had that big 2-hour Rivian R2 review last week. So this week was a bit light on reviews, but you did have this really cool video that people should go out and check out. You take 4 Tesla models. I just thought this was really cool.
Got to run, guys. Sorry, but I got a hard stop.
Problem.
Bye.
I gotcha. See you, Tom. Thank you. All right. So you get 4 different Tesla models with FSD.
Oh, Dom, we can't hear you.
Uh-oh.
Oh no.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Can you hear me now?
Can't hear you at all.
hear me
What
now?
happened when Tom left? We lost Dom's audio.
Ah.
Well, he can keep working on that, but we could tell
Yes.
them about that video.
No, they can just go watch it. No need to plug it. Why don't we just end the show, Dom? They can find our videos if we need to. So if you can hear him, then I'll end the show. Thank you all for watching another episode of Batters Included podcast. We'll see you on another episode again soon. Bye-bye.
Ciao.